Happy Friday morning for me at Warlord Towers. Chris has asked me in to do version 2 of my Crimean blog, number 2. Here I am today. And he's asked me just to show off some of the stuff I've been painting. Some of you know that I paint about an hour and a half each evening as a good discipline. And it's amazing what you can get done in a week if you are able to have an hour, or at least to paint some regiments. It soon mounts up. So what have we got? Well, I'll start with some British first. I didn't have enough British artillery, so I've been getting Warlord's splendid Royal Artillery. Here's the foot artillery here. I think they're 9-pounders and a howitzer. So I normally put 2 guns together to form a battery rather than just the one. I think an extended battery looks a bit better on the tabletop. Otherwise, you can mass too many cannons in one place, which is a bit nasty in black powder. So there's 2 foot batteries here. Really nice faces on these models. Our sculptor has done a fantastic job on getting that Victorian stern-looking face. The guys with large chop whiskers, they're absolute delight to paint, those mustachioed gentlemen. Having fun with the basing again, more of which later, but when you have an army painter paint with a little dropper table, inside a bottle, inside there's a little steel ball which keeps the paint from drying up. Once you've used up your supply of paint, just pop the top open, take out the little steel ball bearing. You see here, they do make fantastic Russian cannonballs. So that's a big Russian cannonball from Sebastopol fired at these lads. Just glue them onto the base and paint them a dark grey or a black, and it just touches up your bases a bit. So that's my foot artillery, but I've also got these fellows. This is the fabulous Royal Horse Artillery, again with 9-pounders and howitzers. Surely no better uniform has ever left the shores than these fine fellows, accompanying the Light Brigade and the Heavy Brigade. Famously, there was orders that the Horse Artillery could accompany the Light Brigade, but I think the ground was too ploughed, so they decided not to take the guns along with them. It might just have helped them out, I don't know, but there you go. When you watch the King's Troop of Royal Artillery, the modern day soldiers, firing off salutes to the King or the Queen or other people, this is pretty much the uniform they're wearing even now. It's just splendid, and I had great fun painting them. So colourful and very effective unit in black powder battles, more of which later. We had a huge battle last night, and they did some dreadful damage to the Russian lines. So that's the Brits that I've been painting. I'll then go and tell you now what I've been doing with the Russians. On to my Russians. Again, Chris asked me to dig out what I've been doing. Well, the most obvious thing here is a Russian cavalry brigade. And let's start from left to right. We've got a lovely hussar unit, wearing their greatcoats over their otherwise gaudy clothes that hussars love to wear across the world, wearing their sort of dust coats, if you like. Here we have uhlans, or lancers, of which there are plenty in the Crimea. Lovely swallowtail pennants here in yellow and white, which really makes them stand out. Again, wearing this long, very thick coats, that they're greatcoats, which our cavalry reported having trouble penetrating with our swords. They're so thick, or our swords were so rubbish. And then finally, on the right here in splendid blue, a regiment of Cossacks, of which there were many, many units in the Russian army, used for scouting, raiding, reconnaissance. They weren't terribly good as cavalry of the line. I think the British and French cavalry thought they were complete rubbish and didn't value them at all. In black powder, we actually give them, they're one of the few mounted units, perhaps the only mounted unit, that we give a fire factor to, because what they can do is go and flank. They've got the marauder rule, so we send them out to flank around and shoot the odd carbine shot at the enemy cavalry to try and force them to charge. You can use them to perhaps go around guns as well, but certainly outflanking the enemy is the best thing to do with them. If they're up against British light cavalry, or certainly the heavy cavalry, they're going to get a drubbing, that's for sure. But they were there on the day, and we represent them today. couple of weeks ago, I had my first unit of warlord Russians without the greatcoats on, and I painted them in their summer green uniforms and their white trousers, and I was going to use them as riflemen. Mostly the Russians used smoothbore muskets, but increasingly they're getting proper rifles, and these guys are wearing the black cross belts because I was told off 2 weeks ago for having white cross belts for my riflemen, and quite rightly they should ideally be in black cross belts. So that gives me 2 units of riflemen now, which gives them some chance of shooting back against the Minier and Enfield rifled muskets that the British and French are fielding. Next, it will be 2 more Cossack batteries. It's the Cossack artillery that was at the end of the valley at Balaclava. I'll be doing those. I'm a bit of a completer finisher, and I don't just like fielding guns like this without the limbers. Now, limbers are expensive to buy, and I don't expect everybody to go out and buy a whole 6-horse limber for every single artillery piece. That would be madness. However, a limber does look absolutely fabulous on the tabletop, and here I'm using a British Napoleonic limber. Just assemble it quickly here, which we sell. There we go. That will do for foot or horse artillery. On there, and there. And it's pretty much the same design for the Crimea about 30 years later. I don't think it changed a great deal, and if it did, I don't really care. It's a limber. The thing that is different, though, is the headwear. These guys are our Napoleonic foot artillery here, and they were wearing shakos, but I've decapitated them all, the poor fellows. So there they are, the headless artillerymen. But instead, I'm replacing them with these little fellows, which Chris can pick up the camera here, which I've decapitated, and who are Crimean British artillery, which are these fellows here. Just merely taken their heads off, and we'll be gluing them to the seated gunners who will be there. So then I'll be wearing the pork pie hat, and of course you get helmeted riders for the limbers, but again off for their heads, and we're going on again with these soft hats. Is that completely correct? I don't know, but I think it's going to be a good enough effect, which will give me a British limber to look fantastic on the tabletop. Yeah, the limber, I say, is from our Peninsula and Waterloo range. If you look on our website, you'll find it there. And I'm sure if you give the customer service boys a ring or an email, they can get you some of the sacrificial lambs who can have their heads taken off. Unless you've got any spare heads knocking around and you could do the conversion yourselves. But always pleased to help at Warlord. Well, once you've painted your models, the last thing you need to do is get some nice flags or pennants on them and varnish them with a good, well, I always use a matte varnish spray, and make sure it's not cloudy, make sure you've shaken it and it's not too cold. Otherwise you'll get a horrible ghost-like tint to it and ruin all your lovely painting. So you've got them painted, you've got them varnished. Last thing you need to do is get them based up. And we used to have, well, I used to have many phrases in the old days about faces and bases, really making your models. So I'm spending a little more time on my faces, which we'll show you in a minute, on highlighting the foreheads and chin and the nose of the guys to make it stand out a bit. But then it's the bases, so faces and bases. Now bases, I was rubbish at basing for years. I just didn't enjoy doing it. I found it messy and dull and repetitive work. But I've had a bit of conversion now, and I found something that works well enough for me every time. And it's really, really simple. The good news is I use plastic bases, generally the Warlord ones. You're gluing your models down, super glue I always use. And once you've got your models in the semblance of order, i.e. where you want the gunners positioned or your cavalry there, make sure that the models are steady and the glue's dried. Then the next thing I do is paint them brown, paint or green. For my Crimean range, I paint all of the base, including the edges, and mid to dark brown, and obviously on top as well. Now, if I'm doing Peninsula or Waterloo, I do green. I don't know why. It's up to you, whatever you think best. Let that dry. It doesn't take long, 5-10 minutes if you're using acrylics. Then you get this lovely brown gravel, which we'll show you a close-up in a minute, of basing material that we sell, but you can get it from anywhere else as well. And it's a brown, gritty substance is the best way of describing it. And you get that ready, and you get your PVA paint, your white glue. You just smear it all over the base and scatter the scenic material all over the stand, completely covering it. You can just put the whole tub all over them, just leave them there for an hour or two and tap it with either your hand or a knife, so all the excess will fall off, and there's lots of it will fall off, I can tell you. And that will leave you with a big pile of sand, which you just scoop back into the container because you haven't used it yet. Put that to one side. The coolest thing are these little tufts here, these little tufts of grass, which again, you can buy from our mail order or good trade shops out there. You know the sort of things, woodland tufts. And they come in a variety of colours, long, short, dark, green, sandy colours, reeds. Suit the ones that you want. And again, after the grit has dried, put blobs of glue, of white glue, and then add these tufts. And you can be as artistic as you like, put as many on as you like. But most of them, I think 2 is enough. And there's also other bits and bobs. The thing to do is either just go into your garden or into the curbside and find some little pebbles. That's cheap as anything. Or you can buy little bits chipped cork, which I've got here again. You can buy that from our mail order, which act as boulders, which you'll see here. And just gluing those on breaks up the contours of the ground, covers a lot of the bases where the base is obviously a raised piece on top of the plastic base. Finally, a tub of scenic grass. Again, you'll see it here. Quite bright green, and again with an old paintbrush, dab great big blobs of white glue onto the base, irregularly as much as you like, but don't cover the whole base, just perhaps a third of it with little puddles of white glue, and sprinkle this grass on top of it, and leave that for 2 hours again, and just shake off the excess, and that will give you this beautiful looking base, which I think looks great on the tabletop. And I get lots of compliments for it. So really easy to do, and you can base a regiment in 10 minutes. It's that easy, and it will stay on the models for years and years and years. It's not worn off yet over many years. So that's how to do your basing, or one of the ideas. Well, thanks for watching these videos. The last one was 2 or 3 weeks ago. And we've had quite a few questions come in, and Chris has been good enough to drill down and give me what he thought the 4 most pithy questions were. So let's hear what they are. One of the questions we've had was, are we going to do the Sardinian army? My belief is that the uniforms were effectively French uniforms, and it's a painting solution. Now, I'm fairly sure that's correct. So you could paint your French with a couple of additions to make them Sardinian. The only thing that would be missing there that I think would be good fun is the Bersaglieri, if my pronunciation is correct. They're light infantry who have the cockerel feathers in their hats. That might be a modelling thing. They weren't hugely involved in the battles, so it's not a great gap, but maybe you might come back in a year or 2 and do a regiment of Bersaglieri. That might be fun, but not at the moment. Yeah, are we going to do any more Napoleonic supplements of black powder? The answer is yes. I think we've got an 1813 book coming out in the pipeline, because there were some mighty big battles in Europe at the time with Russia and Austria and Prussia particularly involved, some massive battles, and that would be good to look into those. So we will be doing that. We just need to get everything. Everything takes time. But we will get there, honest. We do have some Prussian line infantry to come out in metal, I can tell you that. Some beautiful models we've had squirreled away for the last couple of years, but they're really nice Prussian line. Another nice note in is somebody asking, would we, rather than just some nice pictures of the table, would we do a video of one of the Crimean battles? Because they'd quite like to see the kind of black powder culture going on. What sort of game is it? How do we play it? How can you play such a big game within the hours you've got? Well, that's a really great question. And the answer is, I've got to get Chris in our marketing department, who's standing over there looking in pain now, to come round and do a video of us playing exactly these games. Because black powder, we find, is best played in a culture of good spirits and good fun. Last night we had 5 generals each side, all taking a brigade each, and fighting against each other. And a good umpire as well, keeping order. That was me, and providing them with cups of tea and keeping them at their tasks. Black powder is it's not a strict rules game. It's more a great way of getting together with some pals, informed about history, and pushing large regiments of soldiers around in a cheerful fashion, all informed by history, of course it is, and nicely modelled units, but not necessarily obsessively painted to perfection. But it's certainly a lovely way of spending a Thursday night with some buddies. When you look at some of the pictures, we could have, I don't know, 20 battalions, 24 battalions aside, or regiments, and we start off at 6:30, and it's all finished by 9 o'clock. It's quite a bloody and quick game, decisive game, black powder. So don't be put off by having lots of models. The games do not last for hours and hours and days. You'll get a result within maximum 3 hours, really. So, and we'd love to do it by a video. I think that'd be a really good idea. Something we get asked about when we have tours. We have tours here on a Friday, and we just had one, just finished about an hour ago. And people get to chat to me and Big Pete in the design studio to talk about what's coming out next. And I can tell people most things most of the time. And if they get to see something in the studio they're not meant to see, it's our fault for not hiding it, isn't it? So good on you if you've found something that's going to come out in the future that we haven't announced yet. One of the things is people really love the epic ranges, and you probably know we did the Hannibal sets with the Romans against Hannibal and his elephants and all his allies, and that sold very well indeed. It's a great looking game, and we've been asked what's the next epic game. Well, I can't tell you what it is for another month, I'm afraid, but it's very exciting and very evocative. People have asked for Greeks, ancient Greeks. Now, that would be a lovely thing to do in epic, because I think we've got the technology of making the spears looking good, and possibly we'd do Alexandrian phalanxes with the long pikes. I think that would look very good on the tabletop, rather more than the hoplites with the short spears. I think the Macedonian pike blocks would look fantastic, because then you can have the mass chariots and other stuff in there as well, of all the successor armies, and Greek elephant use and in the successor armies. So, of course, we will do it. I just can't say when we're going to do it. It will be done. Well, thanks to Chris for doing the filming and giving the opportunity to come and chat to you, our customers. Without you, we are nothing. I'm not sure when the next one will be. Probably in a couple of weeks, we'll have another chat. Even I might have painted up enough Crimeans by then. Perhaps I'll do the limbers. Perhaps show the limbers next time. But it's time for me to come up with another modelling project, and it might be revisiting my World War II Japanese and or Conflict 47 Japanese, because the models are just simply breathtaking and just irresistible to paint. So more Japanese for bolt action, I think, and that's what we're going to do. But thanks for listening, and see you next time.